And it's raining, so a little adjoining sound here. Take a look at this. Isn't that a lovely card? Sorry for the shakiness. My neck is still messing me up. Anyway, greetings from Dusseldorf. I'm very touched. Not many people use what's called snail mail, and this is from overseas, from Dusseldorf. Dari. What a lovely, lovely thing to get. It's a very intimate thing to get a letter, handwritten. I'm not going to make it so you can read all of it. But look, it's on pretty paper, right? Pretty paper, pretty handwriting, pretty envelope, a lot of postage overseas. The card I'm going to cherish. Thank you. Thank you. That's going to be my background theme for today. Just gratitude. You guys, you're amazing. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you. Thank you so much for your practice, for supporting this effort to propagate Nichiren's doctrine, liking, subscribing, very important for the algorithms, yes, as well as your support through purchasing ebooks and print books and mandalas. And even just going to threefoldlotus.com and downloading all sorts of free information. All of it is supportive and expands and promotes Nichiren's teachings. It's our Bodhisattva mission, right? So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Patrons, however you support this channel. If you can make contributions through PayPal or through Patreon, where all of these videos are also posted. So you can, if you can't get to YouTube for some reason, you can get to Patreon. You can get the same. I post them same day, as well as the podcasts, which are the audio versions of these videos, yeah? Use this resource to the full. It's all about your practice, keeping it strong, keeping your confidence strong, and anything I can do to provide that support. That's my bodhisattva work, right? All right. Thank you again for that lovely card and letter. That touched my heart. So we're starting a new Go show within the compendium of Go shows I put together for Nichiren on his discussions of Mandala and Gohonzon. This one's reply to Kyo-o. Again, you wouldn't know from the title that there would be important information for your practice on the distinguishing features of Mandala versus Gohonzon. What is Gohonzon? We're finding, though, as we've been talking through these Go show of this particular book, this collection, and my focus point, that Nichiren's doctrine is all about Gohonzon. He doesn't identify it as such because Gohonzon is this effort to awaken the mind to Buddhahood. It's not the mandala, right? Oh, a question was asked in this letter from Dusseldorf, and I'll address it. I've addressed it before in different ways, but there's an irony in it that I find very interesting, so that you guys all know. The question was asked, and it's been asked before, what's up with the two gold little statuettes on my butsudan in front of the mandala on the altar? I got those decades ago. Cranes have always been a fascination for me as I've studied martial arts. In fact, I studied the crane style of Kung Fu in my youth. And cranes, I found out very early on in my youth as I was studying, a symbol of strength in almost every facet of, philosophy or thinking in China. The crane's very important. And differently, but similarly in Japan as well, the crane, a very powerful symbolism in the crane. But that's not enough to include it in the altar. These two specific cranes are very specific for something you have heard, and I've done many videos on. And I railed on this a few times, big rants, on the two characters, Na and Mu. Na, Mu, right? There are groups, sects, people who say, nah, you don't need to say those as two characters, you just say Nam. Like, Nichiren very specifically talked about the 5 characters of the Lotus Sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo. You wouldn't drop one of those, would you? And the characters Namu, the 7 characters of the Daimoku. Nichiren says this so many times throughout all of his Go-Sho, right? So how would you be considering yourself an authoritative sect or an authoritative person or a group, and you know who I'm talking about, and just ad hoc for what? Some convenience of, I don't like to do that, so we're going to do it different so I can be different, so I can claim to be special. We're just going to drop one of them. Or push them together and make one sound. We're going to chant 6 characters because we're special. Oh, by the way, Nichiren never says this. Nichiren only talks about the 5 or 7 characters. But we're doing 6 because, we're special. What? What? This isn't a recipe you can customize. This is Nichiren's doctrine. And he explains it ad nauseum. Why it's important. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. So back to the cranes. One of those cranes has the beak open. Na. The other crane has the beak closed. Mu. Namu. So, the cranes, great history of symbolism throughout the history of Asia. And these 2 specific cranes making it obvious that the 2 characters of Na and Mu preface the treasure tower Myoho Renge Kyo, the Lotus Sutra. So that's why I include those 2 cranes. I mentioned an irony earlier. Isn't it ironic that the specificity of these 2 cranes, Na and Mu, are symbols used historically by the Shoshu clan and their offsprings, whose names I won't even give credit to mention, who are the assailants of that very teaching. The contradictions in these groups, it just obviates how off the mark they are. What are you doing? So I don't want to make this a bashing they're not practicing correctly. Period. Nichiren would say so. It's not my opinion. But they know they're not practicing correctly. They're using the symbolism that obviates that they're screwing up. How did it? So maybe irony isn't the right word. But I'm tired of it. I just want you to know I've adopted the crane since I was a child as a symbol of power and dignity. And these specific 2 cranes, Na and Mu, I think they're glorious. I think they speak directly to Nichiren's teaching of the treasure tower. And so, yeah, I include them on my altar. They are not a deviation to anything else. They are simply in support of Namu. That's why they're there. Okay? The other question was about those black curtains I have on either side. That's not necessary in your Butsudan. That's just a practical matter. When I designed this large Butsudan, I had designed it with an eternity symbol of strength, energy, right, on this Butsudan. You see it in the beginning of the video, every video with the Butsudan closed, and it says, excuse me, quantum life force or quantum life energy are the characters on the front of the Butsudan. When you open the Butsudan, those characters disappear because they're not part of our focus on the mandala, right? And the pattern on the inner doors also has the meaning of this, carries through symbolically this eternal Buddhahood, eternal energy symbol. But when you open those inner doors, I don't want to see that. The only thing I want to see is mandala. So as I open those doors, I want to conceal the distraction. That's the reason for the curtains, just to conceal any distraction from my focal point, the treasure tower, Namu, Myoho Renge Kyo, and the rest of the ceremony in the sky, which is the mandala. So that's a little story about the Butsudan. Thank you for asking the questions. I'm sure a lot of people may have wondered or just put aside and wondered whether they should emulate that or do that. The only thing we emulate is Nichiren. And Nichiren, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, mandala, achieve Gohonzon. Achieve, attain, embody, embrace, manifest Gohonzon. And that's everything Nichiren's about. Yeah? So, with all of that preface, reply to Kyo-o. Here Nichiren writes specifically about the mandala to attain the Gohonzon of Buddhahood. And it begins, just when I was longing to hear from you once again, the messenger whom you took the trouble to send arrived. In my present circumstances, your gift of money is far more valuable than any treasure to be found on land or sea. Now, I hope you patrons are listening to this, because sometimes we can think, well, all I can do is give you money. Well, that's no small thing. If you have the fortune, the ability to send $1 or to send whatever, or a recurring donation, $10, $25, whatever you're able to do, it's the cause that you're making, the energy that you're, right? Your presence, your dignity, your human dignity, not only for yourself, because it's never just about self, it's about self within the whole of humanity, of humanness, of life. As I discussed in yesterday's video, life isn't just solely on Earth. Life is the universe itself. So when you make a cause, whether it's sending a wonderful card and letter like I just received, or donations in financial support, it's all about Gohonzon, right? All of those gifts, they don't go to Sylvain. I mean, I may be the privileged receiver of that cause, but and dignity, but I have no ownership of it. I'm simply recognizing with you the value of Nichiren's teachings, Shakyamuni's teachings, and the practice of the Lotus Sutra, the method for attaining enlightenment immediately, right, in this life, moment to moment. So all of it goes back to that, whether it's candles or incense or dollars or just liking and subscribing, whatever you're able to commit yourself to is a measure and an expression of your dedication, your commitment, your strong resolve. And that begins with chanting a mandala and creating an altar, right? It's all an expression of that strength of conviction. So as Nichiren says, the money that he's receiving from it, most times it's thank you for the gifts of rice and the seaweed and the food and or items of clothing, right? But in this case, evidently what he got was money. Well, money is simply an amorphous stand-in for all of those other things. It puts the power of choice for what's needed in Nichiren's hands. But all of the gifts, whatever they are in support of Nichiren's efforts, not just Nichiren the man. And what are Nichiren's efforts? The propagation of Gohonzon, of enlightenment, of Buddhahood. Yes? Shakyamuni's teaching. So yeah, donations are just as vital as you're offering incense and water when you open your butsudan. It's all this act of participating, respecting, and finding dignity in our relationship, our symbiotic relationship with our environment, not separate. Right? Since I heard from you about Kyo-o, I have been meditating to the powers of the universe, the gods, the sun and moon, for her every moment of the day. Always cherish the mandala of Gohonzon that I gave you some time ago for her protection. This great mandala was never known, let alone inscribed, by anyone in the former or middle day of the law. He's talking about mandala, inscribed, yeah? The Lion King is said to advance 3 steps, then gather himself to spring, unleashing the same power whether he traps a tiny ant, or attacks a fierce animal. In inscribing this mandala of Gohonzon for her protection, Nichiren was like the Lion King. This is what the sutra means by, quote, the power of Buddhas that has the lion's ferocity. Have confidence in this mandala with all your heart. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo is like the roar of a lion. What sickness can therefore be an obstacle? Now, I've talked about this in different interpretations about many things in our lives, addictions. And Buddhism is all about letting go of our addictions, our attachments, our habit energy, our database collecting of identification. It's an addiction to permanence, to having, to holding. Buddhism is about liberating ourselves from that. But oops, I said the word addiction, and some people got really fragile about it. I'm sorry, I understand. The problems can be very life-threatening. I'm not making light of it. I am pointing out the power of Buddhahood, and that it is your power. It's on you to enlighten. No one can do it for you. And so I'm not one of those who coddles addictions. You want to change it? Change it. I can't change it for you. You got there by yourself, you get out by yourself. Now, that said, that does not mean you should hide in a hovel and risk your life in order to change your addictions. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. As Buddhists, we also respect the useful intimacy of the Sangha. Just as this letter I received from Dusseldorf warms my heart, it also emboldens my courage to move forward. Because it expresses the dignity we all share of the engine of life. And you may be in a position addicted to whatever it is you may be addicted to, where reaching out and getting help from others may be essential in your developing the strength, the conviction, the desire to be well. That's why we practice Buddhism, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, to experience the highest potential of our karmic freight train in life well. Affirming the engine of life rather than destroying it. It's a moment-to-moment experience, so it's going away anyway. You should be excited and fully involved with every moment when it is, right? This is Buddhism. So do it. If you need the help of friends. Why am I doing this channel? Why am I posting things on the internet? Why am I offering podcasts? I could just close up shop and just happily chant away for myself. But I would never attain full enlightenment doing that. Because bodhisattva behavior, full comprehension, complete enlightenment, perfect enlightenment. I'm using the words of Shakyamuni, of Tendai, of Nichiren, of Dengyo, of Nagarjuna. The only way you can reach the full experience of enlightenment is through this dignity of humanity, this shared experience, supporting one another in our practice, the Bodhisattva way. It's not me saying this. Yes, it's me saying this, but I didn't invent these words, these thoughts, these ideas. This is Shakyamuni's enlightenment. And every bodhisattva since then has been trying to make this point over and over and over. And here he is talking about it again. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo is like the roar of a lion. What good is the roar of a lion if nobody hears it? What sickness can therefore be an obstacle? Any sickness can be overcome. And you could say any sickness is overcome if your will to overcome it is achieved. Doesn't mean the sickness goes away. Maybe it does. But what goes away is your attachment to the sickness. That itself is a sickness. It is written that those who embrace the Daimoku of the Lotus Sutra will be protected by the mother demon children and by the 10 demon daughters. Such persons will enjoy the happiness of Wisdom King, Craving Filled, and the good fortune of the heavenly King, Vaishravana. These are all references to expedient means and different personifications of influences, mental processes. Buddhism is about the mind, attitude, intent. With the right attitude, you can overcome anything, right? That's a modern cliche. Where do you think it comes from? This is exactly what Nichiren is saying. And of course, how can you have a correct or good or nurturing attitude if it doesn't also include intent? Because that's the name of the game. We don't live life in the past. That's gone. We live life in this moment, pushing into the next, constantly momentum, moving into the next. From here to, we're constantly doing this instantiating. Yes? Attitude into the next moment. Intent. That's Buddhahood, baby. Oh, gosh. I don't know if I want that meme. It sounds like Elvis. Oh, Buddhahood, baby. Sometimes I entertain myself. Wherever your daughter may frolic or play, no harm will come to her. She will be more, she will move about without fear, like the Lion King. Among the 10 demon daughters, the protection of Kunti is the most profound, but your strong resolve alone will determine all of these things. Sound like a broken record? A sword is useless in the hands of a coward. The mighty sword of the Lotus Sutra, Myoho Renge Kyo. Right? That's what the Lotus Sutra, it's the Myoho Renge Kyo. Must be wielded by one courageous in strong resolve. How many times have I said this in different ways? When you face your mandala and you chant knowing, fully confident that you are now, in this moment, awakening Buddhahood. That you are penetrating your mind of Gohonzon with every syllable, every sound, every committed Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. There it is, Buddhahood. If there's other stuff going through your mind, you're not resolved. That's why we chant repeatedly, so that slowly that monkey mind starts to just get out of the way. And then we're in it, focused on those two characters, Myoho, potential instantiate, Buddhahood now, on, off, switching on, Myoho, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Boom, Buddhahood. Hang on to it. Train your mind to stay there. With that attitude and intent, achieve Buddhahood. Then one will be as strong as a demon armed with an iron staff. I, Nichiren, have inscribed my life in Sumi ink. So have confidence in the mandala to attain Gohonzon with your whole heart. Wham! How much more specific could he be? First of all, Nichiren, as we've learned, has spent his whole life dedicated to embodying the words of Shakyamuni Buddha. So much so that he identifies himself as the votary of the Lotus Sutra, embodied in the personage of Bodhisattva superior practices, the leader of the Bodhisattvas of the earth, the person to whom it falls the responsibility of changing the course of Buddhism's Lotus Sutra Buddhist teaching from disappearing. We live in the age when the Lotus Sutra is in danger of disappearing because of Nembutsu, Zen, True Word, and all these other posers stripping the power out of this ultimate teaching for their own gains. Shakyamuni saw this coming. And he knew at that point in history, people would have the ability to understand how to do this. But somebody will have to stand up. Somebody amongst those who are learning, teaching, practicing, will have to take on the mantle of standing up to all the rest to ensure that the Lotus Sutra does not die out. Because this is the method to perfect and complete, quote-unquote, enlightenment. And Nichiren looks around and there's nobody else. He says, it's me. I have to embody, I am embodying this personage, this mission. And the embodiment of this mission, this propagation of the ultimate method of self-enlightenment, Nichiren claims it It is his whole life is dedicated to it. And he's taken that whole life of commitment and he's put it into ink, mandala, that scroll. Not because that's Nichiren. He signs it. He makes sure you see this is what I've heard, this is what I've seen, this is what I know. But that's the ceremony in the sky. Shakyamuni's teaching of the method for not just embracing, but instantiating your treasure tower, your Buddhahood, your Gohonzon state of being. So here it is. Here I am, Nichiren, showing you, reminding you, promoting that you understand Shakyamuni's teaching here of self-realization. I've put it into ink to help you focus just as I have focused on this teaching. And Nichiren has told us several times, emulate what I'm doing. Dedicate your life to this. And here he is saying, I've put my life into Sumi ink. Here it is, the mandala. And what's the mandala for? It's not me that's your enlightenment, not me, Nichiren, not me, my Sumi ink, not me, my mandala. It is the mandala to attain Gohonzon with your whole heart. Here, I've given you the formula. Now you do it. And when you do it, you will attain this renge, this aha, this Buddhaness. That's not the Gohonzon. This is my ultimate effort recorded for you to use to attain Gohonzon, because Gohonzon is not mine to give, it's yours to attain. It's you, it's your mind. Can't give you Gohonzon. I can give you this mandala, which is my greatest effort and accomplishment in life, to transmit correctly Shakyamuni's goal of enlightenment for everyone. But it can't be handed out like popcorn. You have to do it for yourself and everyone else. That's the tremendous opportunity of this human lifetime. This is why you're here. To appreciate fully life. How else would you do it? The Buddha's will is the Lotus Sutra, but the essence, the tamashi of Nichiren is nothing other than Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. The essence, the will, the effort, the existence of Nichiren's life, every pore of his being is about instantiating enlightenment and assisting others to this path. Not that he's created it, but that he's completely invested his life into it to demonstrate that that was Shakyamuni's entire purpose from the start. Do not let this go. Don't let it out of your sight. Make it happen now. That will, that dignity, that humanity that Nichiren is. Not the arms, legs, feet, nose, eyes. That's not Nichiren. That's the body Nichiren's mind exists in. But the mind is emergent of that. It isn't that, right? You are not your teeth, nose, and toes. Kind of obvious, right? You ever look in a mirror and think, who the hell is that? I mean, you recognize the image, even though it's flipped in a mirror. But it reminds you of everything that you identify with. So the mandala is a mirror that's unclouded by all that. The mandala is a mirror that says, here's your Buddhahood. Remember? Get that Gohonzon open and see this Buddhaness in you right now. Miao states in his commentary that the heart of this sutra is the revelation of the Buddha's original enlightenment and his immeasurable lifespan. Right? This confusion about his lifespan, it's very confusing without a lot of discussion about Buddhism and what Buddha is. And I fault the translation for making this even more confusing. But what they're talking about is Buddhaness has no time. Buddhaness is a realization. It's happening in this moment into the next moment, attitude, intent. It's happening there. There's Gohonzon. Moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. The to moment is Buddhaness. Oh, I see how all of life works. I see how all is instantiated from the same energy, that we are all fields of energy. And the opportunity to witness this process is amazing. That's why we're here. Kyo-o's misfortune will change into fortune. Muster your strong resolve and chant to this mandala to attain Gohonzon. Now, obviously, he's writing this reply to Kyo-o is actually somebody's daughter, and she's sick. And as a parent, you're worried. You'll worry yourself sick about a sick child, won't you? And so Nichiren says, use the mandala. Use your power of Buddhaness, your dignity of human life, the engine of life, and fill yourself, and therefore your environment, with this energy of life. This will, without doubt, affect, influence your child. You will give her the greatest potential to overcome this obstacle, be it health, be it threat, whatever. So again, Kyo-o's misfortune will change into fortune. Muster your strong resolve and chant to this mandala to attain Gohonzon. Then what is there that cannot be achieved? There can be no doubt about the sutra's passages that say, quote, this sutra can fulfill their desires as a clear, cool pond can satisfy all those who are thirsty, end quote. And, quote, they will enjoy peace and security in their present existence, moment to moment, and good circumstances in the future existences, future moments, right? End quote. I will write you again. When I am pardoned from exile in this province, I will hasten to Kamakura, where we will meet. If we consider the power of the Lotus Sutra, the Myoho Renge-kyo, we will find perpetual youth and eternal life before our eyes. Why does he say that? It's not a fanciful fable about living forever. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is your life condition right now. When you chant with this kind of resolve with your mandala and you attain Gohonzon, Buddhaness, you don't sense age. You don't even sense time. Time kind of melts away, disappears. You just chant. And when you're done with your gangyo or chanting, when you really feel, I'm so alive, with that kind of ichinen, right? And you think, I think I'm done. I'm going to respectfully close my butsudan, extinguish the candles, thank Gohonzon again, Namu Myoho Renge-kyo, Daimoku Sansho, yeah? Hiki Daimoku. and we walk away from our altar back into life, it's almost disorienting because now time starts to take place. It's one of the first things that you do when you really connect with your Gohonzon mind. It's when you leave it, when you walk away from it. What time is it? Yeah? Because you lost it. Buddhaness is in the moment, and the moment into the next moment isn't concerned with the 4 billion moments that came before it. They're gone. They're done. This moment and then the next. So if you're sick, if your daughter's sick, be in this. Because in this, sickness disappears. Now, as you walk back into samsara, you may start to cough again. You may start to reinstantiate the karma of this sickness. But you've lessened it. You've ameliorated it. You've known what it's like not to be sick. You see how this works? My only worry is that her life may be as short-lived as dew. Therefore, I am meditating with all my might for the heavenly gods to protect her. So this is exactly what I just said. Nichiren isn't stupid. He knows her sickness may be life-ending. But all the more reason to make every single moment of her life precious, amazing. Because everything ends. We don't want it to, but that's samsaric attachment, addiction. Kyo-o. Follow in the footsteps of Lady Pure Virtue or the Dragon King's daughter. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Be alive, fully realizing all your energy of life now. And if there's a chance this is merely an obstacle to overcome, you are guaranteed. And if there's a chance this obstacle is a manifestation of karma that will end your life, all the more reason to live it to the full every moment you have left. Just Gohonzon it. Do you see? Respectfully, Nichiren, the 15th day of the 8th month, replied to Kyo-o. It's a damn powerful letter. But in the context of this book, it's also a very strong statement of the difference between a mandala, Nichiren's commitment to our practice in the form of this mandala, which is really Shakyamuni's words, a powerful tool to get us to open our mind of Gohonzon. So let's do it. Yeah? Thank you for listening. Thank you. Thank me. Thank you. Thank all of us, this Sangha, for our practice. Right? Let's propagate as Nichiren. Like, subscribe. Support this Sangha. Send ebooks to people you know. You can do that too. Get the podcast. Whatever you need. Let me know what I'm missing, what I'm not doing that would be critical to you and your foundation, your strength, your commitment and resolve to this practice. If I can do it, I will. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Take care of your health. In the context of this video, kind of critical. Take care of your health. Keep your practice strong. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? With tremendous gratitude. Bye for now.